Weren't you inspired by this gesture of your Prime Minister? This man is 70-year-old and claims to sleep for less than 4 hours a day. If he is braving the early morning cold on the coast of Chennai to send a message about plastics, you should know that things are serious. He wants us to own up the alarming rate at which we are dumping plastics. We should start becoming conscious about the things we consume, the way we consume, and how we dispose waste. When you go to the market next time, you could ask the fruit seller to either start using a paper bag or close down the shop. Have you thought about large corporations whose products are stacked across the aisles of the supermarkets, all packed in shiny, colorful plastics? Actually, that is obvious. What's not obvious is a small group of entities that are actually responsible for the plastic supply chain, but they stay hidden and never come to light in this context. In today's episode, I am going to explain how the blame for the plastic crisis is wrongly placed. My name is Praveen and I am glad to see you here. Items like grocery bags, food packing, and bottles which we use only once before throwing away are called single-use plastics. These offer great convenience to our lifestyle, but they are the biggest contributors to the crisis which we are facing right now. We throw away 130 million tons of plastics every year. Of that, over one-third comes from single-use plastic. Plastics are produced from polymers. These polymers are extracted from fossil fuels like crude oil along with other petroleum products. This is called virgin plastic. The crude oil could be replaced by recycled plastics for polymer making, but 98% of the polymers are made only from crude oil. The polymer makers would need to collect and recycle garbage across the world, then bring it to their facility to break down the polymer. It is easier and more cost-effective for them to use fossil fuels for making polymers than recycling. Hence, only 9% of plastics is recycled. The rest is buried, burned, or simply dumped in our environment. This plastic can be found everywhere, from the bottom of the oceans to inside of animals. They are present in the air we breathe, they are mixed in the rain, and they are also enter our bodies. The blame for the single-use plastic crisis is placed mostly on the companies that use the plastics to make finished products. There is hardly any coverage on the actual producers of the plastics itself. A surprisingly small group of giant manufacturers and investors are at the heart of the global industry. The top 20 companies alone account for more than half the polymer production that turns into single-use plastics. ExxonMobil, Dow, Sinopec top the list. Reliance Industries is at 8th position in the list, and there are other Indian companies in the top 100 too. In a way, this small group of companies is holding the fate of the world's plastic crisis while staying invisible. The change we should expect is for them to start producing more polymers from recycled plastics. One could see another challenge here. With the push towards electric vehicles, the demand for petroleum products could go down. These companies are only likely to route more of their fossil fuels towards plastic production in that case. In fact, research says that they have all got plans to increase the production of virgin plastic. The second set of companies are the ones who finance the operations of the polymer makers. These are the global financial institutions that provide loans to fund working capital and expansion plans. The top 20 banks alone have lent $30 billion towards single-use plastic production in the last 10 years alone. Barclays, HSBC, and Bank of America top the list. We have Indian banks also in the top 100. I'm sure when you think of State Bank of India, you are reminded of their infamous customer service. But who could have predicted that they are a big force behind the plastic crisis? They have lent $14 billion to these companies. These banks are providing billions of dollars to a small set of companies that are producing virgin plastics. But they were found to lend only a fraction of the money to the companies that are trying to make plastics through recycling that would build a circular plastic economy. And lastly, we have one another party that is contributing to this crisis. It is the same government that claims to fight against plastics. Globally, many governments hold a large ownership in the companies that are producing single-use plastic. The Indian government alone holds $42 billion in these companies. It ranks 13th in the world for such shareholding. The Ambani's family tops that with $66 billion of holdings. Our government should be fighting against the manufacturing of these polymers and formulate policies to regulate the mix of virgin and recycled polymers. Till now, we don't have a pan-India ban for single-use plastics. Our Indian government has published a draft policy that is expected to go live in September. But it bans only the manufacture and import of finished plastic products. It doesn't cover the polymer production itself. To sum it up, we would want the large corporations engaged in polymer production to adopt aggressive recycling. That would mean we should brace ourselves for higher prices of products. Secondly, the planet would be better off if banks like State Bank of India turn down the polymer makers the way they do the retail customers like us. And lastly, the government should spend time on drafting real effective policies instead of shallow face-saving measures. Did you find this useful? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.